remember Wayne Bennett and even Arthur Beetson and those blokes say it's 70% mental, 30% physical, and I agree 1,000%, because if you're willing to pay the price and go out there and commit yourself, mentally convince yourself that you're able to do that, holy moly, they won't stop you.
Welcome to the M26 FIT Podcast, where we explore the connection between having a strong mind and a strong body.
All right, today's special guest is Trevor The Axe Gillmeister, Rugby League legend. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thanks, Magnus.
All right, mate, I'm going to start off with a couple of statistics. You started your playing career as a 19-year-old. You played for Norths, Easts, Brisbane, Penrith, and then finally the South Queensland Crushers, where you were part of their inaugural team, and you scored their very first try. You played 257 first-grade games, 22 games for Queensland, and 3 tests, mate. That's a pretty good effort.
Oh, mate, to be honest, all I wanted to do was play first grade for Norths when I was a young fella, and that was my goal. And I was lucky enough to do that, and then you change your goals. And as most people do in life, you go through that, you tick that box, and away you go. And I was so lucky that a bloke like Arthur Beetson rang me and wanted me to go down to the Roosters, and it was a chance so I couldn't let go, mate. Yeah.
Fantastic. Before we start talking footy, I wanted to kick off. Can you tell us what it was like growing up? Obviously, that was back in the 70s, and I believe it.
Well, I'm 64. I was born, so a long time ago. My dad was in construction. In those days was no fly in, fly out. You moved to the place they were working, and we lived in caravan parks and things like that. All the construction families, and it's probably harder on mum than it was on us kids. My brother and I, we're 13 months apart, so every day was a battle, I can tell you. And my sister's 6 years younger than me, so mum and dad must have said, bugger this, we can't have another one of these idiots. We have to have a spell. So she's 6 years younger. We lived in Darwin, Adelaide, Perth. Played my first footy in Gladstone, Perth, Adelaide, and all over the place. And we used to drive there, as well, and lived in caravan parks. And I think that kind of helped shape me, as well. Because it wasn't, all lovey-dovey, type of times, and it was hot, there was living in caravan, but no air conditioning and, things like that, just harden up, princess, and, and stuff like that. And I loved it because it was always heaps of kids to play with. Yeah. And that was the main thing, thing I liked. And, in those days too, you're working out the pecking order, who's who in the zoo, and I say that all the time about a pecking order, making sure we're all in that frame of mind. And mate, I enjoyed it, and I think it kind of, as I said before, is probably harder on mum, looking after us than anything.
Yeah. What about school? Was that tough, obviously, when you're moving around different schools all the time?
School's a little bit. Gladstone was my first. I went primary school. I was there for a couple of years, and then we moved a few times. Went to St Pius at Banyo, and my first year of high school was actually in Western Australia in Perth, and it was quite funny actually. But Thornley High School, if anyone knows Thornley High School, we didn't know, but it's a pretty rough joint, and even people in Western Australia, when I go over there, said, is that true, Gilly, that you went to Thornley High School? And they went, yeah. I said, yeah. And they go, oh, how did you get through that place? Anyway, but it was, it was, as I said, I had a couple of fights my first day at high school, but anyway, that's life. And as I said, it helped shape you, I think. And I didn't know one person. It was a massive school. There was, I don't know, it was 1,000 kids or 1,100 kids or something in this school, and I didn't know one person. Took me about an hour. I still remember the first day because it took me like an hour and a half to find out what class I was in. I couldn't find out where I was. Anyway, but I got through it, yeah.
What about at school? So were you much of an academic? When did you finish?
I passed everything at school, and I got my mother's quite smart, and she was a teacher's aide and as well. She worked at the bank and stuff like that, and she had a job, and then when I was born, your mothers gave work away, to look after the kids, so she had a good job in the bank, and but yeah, I think I must have got a little bit in the gene pool. I passed everything, okay, and but I kind of went to St. Columban's for grade 9 and grade 10, and my brother was there as well, and I enjoyed school, but I mean, I was never going to go on and be an accountant or a lawyer or anything like that. So I still remember, I finished grade 10 exams and I passed everything okay. And I remember Dad, I was sitting on my push bike at the front of the house and he said, how'd you go in your exams today? You just pulled in the driveway, working all day. And I said, yeah, go in your exams and all that. And I said, how are you? I passed everything. He said, you didn't study, did you? Really. I said, I didn't have time, Dad. I was playing footy and I was playing all different sports as we did, myself and my brother, and which was good. And, I said, I passed. And he said, what do you want to do? And it's only something I've worked out quite a few years ago, but later on in life that I had a couple of mates that were a bit older than me that they joined the army. And my grandfather was in the army, Second World War. Obviously, a lot of them come back with issues and stuff like that. But and I remember, 'cause I was thinking they loved it because they loved the training and all that type of thing those days as well. So I thought it might be a chance of playing for the army. Play army footy and that, but they played rugby union, and I played rugby union at school, but I preferred league, you know what I mean? And I said, I'm thinking about, he said, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm thinking about joining the army. And the look on his face kind of, and I didn't really think much about it. And about 3 or 4 days later, he said, I got you an apprenticeship, you start next Monday or Tuesday. And I thought, shit. And I thought, he didn't want me, and I think about it now, he didn't want me to join the army, you know what I mean? So, which is fair enough, but it wasn't until later on in life I realised it. Yeah.
So where'd you play your junior footy? So you're 15, you've left school, you go to work for your dad as a boilermaker.
Yep.
And then you didn't start till Norths, obviously, first grade till you were 19. So what were you sort of doing between that?
I was I played my first footy in Gladstone West, and they're not around anymore. We played in Perth. My brother and I, when we were over there, we played in Perth. North Spaniel juniors as well. North Spaniel was my club originally, and then they went to about under 14s, and then they stopped. You know what I mean? Then if you wanted to go on and play footy, you had to go to Norths. Yeah. So I went to Norths and loved it up there. We had some pretty good teams, junior teams, and then you went through the grades like 15, 16s, and I tell everyone now that the best thing ever happened to me, play under 18s on the Friday night, and the old selectors with their blazers had come in, and I need you and you to play third grade tomorrow. And and you go, oh shit, because third grade was all the old blokes coming back from injury, and they were allowed to punch in the head those days, you know what I mean? So I said, we used to, give some and got some, you know what I mean? So you're playing with your 18-year-old and you're playing with 30-year-olds and against 30-year-olds, you know what I mean? So you kind of learn not only about footy, but you learn about life because you train with these blokes and you hear them in the dressing shed, training and things like that. So, and I thank my lucky stars. I had really good blokes around me, looking after me on the footy field and off the footy field as well. So it was, but the best thing I still remember, under 18s, we played under 18s on the Friday night. We played on the Saturday. Played a full game of third grade, played 20 minutes of reserve grade, and played 10 minutes of first grade that weekend. And that was I think it was the best learning curve ever for me, for footy, as well. And it taught you respect, as well. You know what I mean? About a bloke who's playing third grade, he's come back from injury, he's played 200 first grade games. When you're playing against him, you haven't played a first grade game yet. And it was about the respect thing as well. So I think it was good.
Yeah. What about mental strength, mental resilience? It's obviously a big topic right now, and obviously players of this era. But what about back in your day? Like, how did you go about building your mental strength and resilience?
I think, Dad was always big on that. Like he said, doesn't matter how big you are and stuff. And I always a short ass when I was playing footy and a little bloke, and he said, and he used to always say to me, you can change your body shape by eating right and exercising and things, but you can't do nothing about your height. You can't control that, so don't worry about it. You know what I mean? So and I thought, oh, okay, he's right. So he said, you're the perfect height to get into blokes' ribs and really do some damage, And so he taught my father taught myself and my brother how to tackle properly in the backyard. And 9 times out of 10, an argument would start, and Dad would give us the boxing gloves and say, "Sort your shit out," So, and then, and not, as I said, it was the mental. Getting back to the mental thing, I kind of didn't have a chip on my shoulder, but I knew I was. Deep down, I knew I was as good as some of these other blokes who were getting playing first grade, and I thought, got to keep plugging away here.
Had a point to prove.
Oh yeah. But I trained hard. I liked training, stuff like that, and I still think back and I go, those runs that I do, the visualisation when you're running and stuff like that, and about footy, making tackles, making runs, things like that, and visualising stuff like that. And I think I've learned a lot when I was a kid. Like not being spoon fed. We did it tough as kids, but it didn't. We didn't know any different, so we didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, so, as I said, it was probably harder on Mum than it was the kids. So. Because we had heaps of kids to play with, but I kind of like a lot of people say, how do you get so tough? And my brother and I said, that was probably our upbringing, really, to be honest, and the mental side of it. And I say I remember, Wayne Bennett and even Arthur Beetson and those blokes say, it's 60% mental, 70% sometimes, mental, 30% physical, and I agree 1,000%, because if you're willing to pay the price and go out there and commit yourself and mentally convince yourself that you're able to do that, holy moly, they won't stop you.
Yeah. So speaking of convincing, what about confidence? Did you find, were you a very confident player, do you think?
I think I wasn't, obviously I wasn't a cocky player, but I still, I think the Norse thing helped me so much, when I was a young fella, and I'm forever grateful for those blokes that I played with there as well, that because they were in their late 20s and married with kids and stuff like that, and you're 18, turning 19, and you're going, and then you learn about life as well. Those blokes were just good fellas, you know what I mean? And they'd kick you in the backside if you needed it, pull you in a line if we're getting a bit too cocky or whatever as well, So, yeah. And I think that's a bit of a problem nowadays. People don't like hurting people's feelings nowadays and stuff like that. But honestly, fair income, you're doing them a favour, by helping them out and kicking them in the backside sometimes and say, come here, hey, don't do that, you know what I mean? And I did that when I got older, you know what I mean? But that's your job. That's your job when you get older, is to, if you're in business or...
It's mentoring.
Yeah, of course it is. Or as I said, business or sport in general, and you've been around the traps a little while, and you should be pulling the young people in the line, saying this. You don't go about it like this. This is how you should do it. This is my suggestion. You go about what you think is the right thing, but this is what I'd be doing if I were you. And if you're out socially as well, when we used to be out socially, if some of the young blokes were getting out of line, you just, hey, what do you think you're doing?
Yep.
You're carrying on like a dickhead here. So pull your head in. You know what I mean? So wake up yourself.
Yeah. Well said. How do you reckon the game's evolved over the years? I know we touched on this just before off camera, and just to get an understanding, it's been 40 odd years, and so just physically, mentally, what are the aspects that you've noticed?
Mate, they're supreme athletes. Now you look at majority of them. They can run 111 seconds, and stuff like that. It's mate, they full-time training as well, and I actually thank my lucky stars where I played when I did, because I did the work thing and then go to training, and I did the professional thing the last couple of years I was playing, and I know what's harder, working hard on the building site all day, and then going to training. That's harder. That is hard, right? That's hard work, and but obviously they're all bigger, they're faster, you know what I mean, but you can't tell me that a lot of the players, the old blokes in the old days, if they did the full time training, they still some of them would run over some of these blokes. You know what I mean? And I've been lucky enough to be involved still with the game, and I see the hard work that they put in. So I'm kind of a bit of both. I'm old school and new school, and I see how they put the hard work in as well. But you need we always got to remember too. It doesn't matter whether you're playing for Australia, Queensland, whatever. It's still a game. You know what I mean? So you got to still enjoy it, and we all enjoy winning more than losing.
Yep. What about technology? How have you seen the technology changes?
Yeah. The GPS and all that type of stuff. Can live without. It doesn't worry me too much. I know you got the sports science blokes, live by it, and that's their job, as well. So, but the interesting thing for me when the GPS and that stuff first started, and I remember in Origin when Mel was coaching, and they had the collisions, so they could
measure the impact.
100% right, they could, and they were car accidents. So two blokes at 110 kilos getting back running into each other, they said the data was equivalent to car accidents, like small car accidents. I thought, yeah, I'm glad I don't play anymore.
What do you reckon some of the biggest challenges are? So for these younger players, you said, like, obviously still involved with the game in different variables, and obviously where you came from and you're working full-time and then going training. But that aside, what do you see the biggest challenges are for the young blokes of today?
Probably it's probably not through when they're playing footy or injuries, mate. That's another thing. A young bloke's you look like go back to a Jarrell Yowie, playing for Australia, Queensland, top of his game. At 21, 22, smashes his ankle and he's gone. Poor bugger. You know what I mean? And a lovely fella. And those blokes need to be looked after. Not only financially, but mentally. To get themselves through that. And and he talks about it himself that he went through some dark times. Through it. But there's, I think the mental side of it, and the game's pretty good at looking after people when they're on tough times. But I think that there's going to be a massive issue down the track with all professional sports about down the track, and we'll have to live with this, that a lot of them will say that there's only so many coaching jobs, there's only so many commentary jobs, things like that, right? So a lot of these blokes, financially they'll be right, but mentally they'll be going, oh, what do we do now? You know what I mean?
What's
And
next?
I think you ask a lot of the blokes who've just retired, a lot of them might be lost for a little while, until they find their rhythm somewhere else, and their love for something else. But I know myself when I first finished playing, for a year or two, I was a bit lost. You miss the adrenaline rush, as well. And I think, and I was lucky because I did the work thing and, as well. So I kind of you got myself through that okay. But I would imagine, not just rugby league, all professional sports, men and women now, that'll go through some tough times, and hopefully that those sporting bodies are around to help them through that, because and the NRL do pretty good jobs with some of along with the clubs, and that transition period that they try and do it. But I know that they do their best, but when that door closes, they're going to go, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And if they're smart with their money, a lot of them won't have to work, but you're still going to have to be able to do something else, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like you said, for that mental health side of things, because there's been a lot of discussion about that. I know that a few years ago, in racing swimmers in particular, they'd finished, and then it's like you said, what's next?
Swimmers, they're in their 20s, aren't they? Some of them when they retire, like fair income. That's only a pinch of your life, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of challenges, what's been one of the biggest personal challenges challenge that you've been through, and what got you through it?
Couple of things possibly. I had prostate cancer a few years ago, and I got through that fine. What I mean. So I'm lucky. I think I still do a bit of training and stuff like that, and I think the footy side of things helped me out so much there as well. Because, I remember I was in hospital and come back, and then one of the head nurse said to me, and I was sitting down with her, and I was leaving the next day, and asked her a couple of questions, and and she went, "We love you blokes when you come in, you ex-sports blokes, because you all go, I got to do A, B, and C to get to D." He said the average person don't think like you blokes, and for me, that's just natural. So it's like a footy injury. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and I come out of it, hunky dory, touch wood, and there are other people who haven't, got the same results, but you got to put the work in again too. The exercises you had to do and stuff like that, And she said, "Mate, can you come back next time and talk to all these other blokes, and be able to do this, And I said, "Oh, well, that's we treat it like a footy injury, things like that."
No. What about, speaking of hospital stays, tell us that story. I remember it vividly. You're in a hospital bed. I think you had blood poisoning or something, and you pulled the needle out of your arm and went and played Origin.
It wasn't. I got a little bit blown out of proportion, but I went, it was a third Origin, 95. I got stood on in Melbourne and got a cut inside my leg, and they seemed to think I got some dirt or fertiliser or something in there. And the following third game here at Lang Park, that through the week my knee blew up, and I went to the doc, and my left knee used to blow up anyway, so I used to pop a few anti-inflammatories and it had come good, and then it wasn't coming good, so I went to the doc. I said, Roy Saunders, a lovely fella. I said, Roy, I think my knee, something's wrong with my knee. And he looked at it and went, "Oh my God, what have you done?" And I said, well, I had a big red line running down my leg, I thought that wasn't too flash, but he said, "We've got to put you in hospital for a couple of days." And anyway, so went to hospital, pumped me full of penicillin and whatnot, antibiotics, and brought me out of the hospital to the day of the game, and I was sitting in the hotel room in bed, and Chris Close, Fatty, Roy Saunders, the doctor, and old Tosser Turner, old legend manager, they were all sitting there, and I thought I was going to be ruled out. Like, you get ruled out now, they wouldn't let you play. And Choppy said, "Well, what can happen, Doc?" And Roy went, the blood can go throughout his system. Worst scenario is he could die. And Choppy said, "Shit, that's no good." He said, "But I couldn't think of a better place to die than Lang Park." So anyway, it was it. But Fatty was so good. He just said, "Oh mate, if I were you, get the hold the shield up again. You know, we're going to beat them 3-0 in New South Wales when we weren't even rated a chance to win in one game, let alone 3. And doing that lap of honour around there, I said I'd do it. I said, why didn't you bloody say that, you know, a couple of hours ago? And so I said, we'll go and play. But I had to go back to hospital after the game for a couple of days and spend it back there. But yeah, it was amazing time, you know, like the Super League drama. All the old people remember that, the split in the game, and you know, so the Bronco blokes couldn't play, so we were short on numbers. And Fatty did an enormous job. He was sensational, and Chris Close, he was. Well, Tosser was the manager, but Choppy was security trainer. He was everything, and it was great times. And mate, that's probably one of my favourite moments in football.
Yeah, bit of a highlight.
Yeah.
What physical activities keeps you busy now? I know that you did spend a couple of times. You went a bit of boxing, did a few bouts. What else keeps you busy physically?
I work for Channel 7 during the footy season, as you know, and do a bit of stuff for a couple of mates' companies. I'm an ambassador for a couple of those, and physically, like my boxing, I'm not very good at it, but I go down to Northside Boxing down there at Nunda and train down there with a few of the boys, and which is really good. And I've done a couple of charity walks for different charities, and walked from Townsville to Brisbane for asbestos disease awareness, and a few years ago. And
sorry, just to stop you there, how long does it take to walk from Townsville to Brisbane?
A month. It took me a month. Yeah. So
every day, how many Ks were you averaging per day?
Around 50. We had to have a couple of days off because we had to do some promo stuff as well. So it was about 50K a day, and it was 1600, about 1600K, and so it was. But I mean, things like that, and that was another. It was a mental challenge. It was a physical challenge as well, but it's probably for me it was more mental, and I loved it when the ex-players, and no one tell me who was turning up, so some of the ex-players would turn up and we'd walk for a day, and someone else had come in and stuff like that, which was really good. So I did that because my dad died of asbestos disease, mesothelioma. Quite a few years ago now, but it was to raise awareness in that area as well. So I'll give you a little tip. I'm not doing it again.
And you've done Kokoda too, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done Kokoda. Yeah. It was about 8 of us did Kokoda, 2008, and I'll tell you why I know that, because the Bali bombings happened when we were on the track. And we didn't.
Wow.
Because and I know a few people. A good mate of mine lost his wife, and I knew all the Coogee Dolphins blokes. There were a few Sydney blokes there, and so we just finished the Kokoda track, high-fiving, going to have a couple of beers, and get back to the hotel, then we find out, because the Broncos were actually talking about going to Bali for their trip away, and I thought they were there, and I'm thinking, holy moly, they've got cleaned up. Anyway, but and I remember getting back to the hotel because the bloke on the bus was distraught. He was a mad rugby, PNG, they're mad rugby league, and he couldn't really talk too much to us, the poor bugger, and we that was probably like 45 minutes in the bus, the longest 45 minutes I've ever had, because I thought I didn't know who was on actually in Bali at the time, so, till we got back to the hotel.
Yeah, I was going to say, because there's not exactly any communication on that trail at all, is there?
No. And it was, we just finished actually, and apparently it just happened that like an hour or two before then, so. Which was terrible news. Mate lost his wife, and a couple other people that I know from Sydney that passed away in that as well. But we were kind of, you're on the highest of highs, and then the lowest of lows. You know what I mean? Like from one extreme to the other. That was that day. I've never really experienced that like that. You know what I mean? Like, so that was a bit of a challenge actually for us as well.
I was going to say, like you said, from both a mental and a physical perspective, because you've just finished it, and like you said, you've got that high, all those endorphins are running, and then all of a sudden you get a
kick in the guts. Yeah. No, it was quite surreal, or whatever you want to call it. It was kind of, I thought it wasn't right. You know, we're only getting it second, third hand off the bus driver, or people die barley. You know, we're going, oh, he couldn't talk too good at English. You know what I mean? Yeah, so we didn't. I'm thinking, oh no, he's got this wrong. You know, he's somewhere else. You know, and then got back to the hotel and rang home, and it wasn't real good. But that's right. It was the highest of highs. We're all high fiving each other, patting each other on the back, and we pulled up in this little village and got they had some beers in there. We got some beers, and then we're talking to bus driver, and we said, oh, what's been happening in the world? Because you don't know what's going on. And he had this blank look on his face, and I just realised that we didn't know, you know. So, yeah, not real nice.
No. All right, slight change of pace now. Gilly's Tackling Academy that you've got. Mate, what's the meaning behind that, the purpose behind that?
3 or 4 years ago, I was getting asked that of friends and relatives and friends of friends, can you come down and teach my son or my daughter how to tackle, you know, and things like that. And I was doing it over and over and again, and I'm going, there's something missing here, you know, like there's a void there in the game at the moment, you know, especially with the young ones. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do? And I spoke to my good mate Brian Carmody at Madison, and a couple other people, and I thought, I've got to do something about this, and obviously just put it together, and got some really good sponsors on board, just champion blokes that got their own businesses that are good mates of mine, and and I thought I've got to do something about it. So it's kind of just went from strength to strength, and I was trying to lay low a bit more. I've got busier anyway, but I'm happy to. I just want to see kids get taught out of, and nothing against the coaches, right? The junior coaches, because a lot of them, you know, under 10s, 12s, they get given a corner of the field. You know, there's 10 teams training on the field, so they go down to a little corner and they. They do their skills and stuff like that, and they don't have much time to do tackling, because it takes time, tackling, right? But it's 50% of the game, right? But we spend 5%, 10% doing it. You know what I mean? That's in junior level, right? Yep. So, and especially now with all this tackle safe programs and stuff like that, which is really good. Yep. But you've got to do it with them every day.
Yep.
You've got to teach kids it. It's like they do the problem is, see, with the kids, right? It's boring. Tackling's boring, right? Okay. But it could save your life down the track. Yep. You know what I mean? So if you teach them how to tackle safely and really correctly, I've seen I've coached kids, you know, and I've taught these little buggers that all of a sudden something clicks in them, and that their confidence goes through the roof, and they're just whacking. They're whacking, and I'm laughing and smiling and thinking, how good's this, you know? And the rest of their game goes through the roof as well, because they're confident. They're not getting run over by the bigger kids, you know what I mean? They put them on their backside. All of a sudden, they're strutting around like little roosters, and you know, and things like that. So which is fantastic, and they're confident in life. Yeah. Then. You know what I mean? They're true that they strut around. No, not strut around, but you know what I mean? Like they're at school. They go at school and they're confident. They move around, and you know the way they walk and things like that. So I get a kick out of that.
Yeah, because there's 2 programs. You've got the junior program.
Yeah,
and then the next one, you actually have a nutritionalist and a psychologist with you. Is that right?
We do. We have from the 12s to the 17s, 16, 17s, we have a nutritionist, and Peter, she comes in and she does a fantastic job. But with the nutritionist and the dietitians, or whatever you want to call them. So bring them in. I want the parents to come in too, so they listen, because they're the ones buying the food. You know what I mean? And it's really good. And Shane, our psychologist, you know, he talked to them about resilience and stuff like that as well. So which is really good. But that's from the 12s to the 17s. So 8, 9s, 10s, 11s, they don't need to hear that. They get out there and have fun, and you know, when you're that age, you can eat what you like, can't you?
No, that's absolutely right. So tell me, is there a secret? Can you tell us a secret to making a great tackle without a demonstration where you kill me?
Well, it's all about getting your feet in the right position.
Okay.
You know, a bit like boxing. You know, like if you got your feet side by side, and someone throws a punch at you, you're gonna end up on your back. You know what I mean? But if you got one leg in front of the other, whatever leg you prefer, that's what I preferred opposite when I was playing. But if you like the other way, that's fine. I got no dramas with that either. Whatever you feel comfortable with, you should be able to do it both ways, both feet. You know what I mean? One leg in front of the other, so you can move. The number one priority is to move your head out of the way just before impact. That's what it's all about. If you got your feet side by side, and I see blokes still in the NRL go. They're chest blokes, right? Still got their feet side by side, and then the front rower will turn his shoulder at the last second, and he gets bopped on the chin. Wonder why he's snoring before he hits the ground. So I mean, it's a bit, but it's about practicing all the time as well. You got to practice it all the time. So, as I said with the kids, you got to keep doing it. You know,
it's repetition and
100% right. Yeah. That's life, isn't it? You know what I mean? Doesn't matter what you do. So
they give you a bit of an opportunity when you're doing these academies that the other coaches, like the junior coaches, can see that. And then they can
I'm more than happy for them to come in and listen and you know, I'm currently in talks with the QRL about doing some stuff with them, and Benny Icon's been fantastic in that area as well. So if we can, you know, help some kids not get head knocks, beautiful. I mean, you'll never know how many help out, but I don't care, and I've gone down to rugby union clubs. Anthony Herbert's a good mate of mine at Jeeps Rugby as well. I've gone down there, helped out down there with it, and I've got a crew of players, ex-players that give me a hand as well, ex-Origin players, and they come down, they love it. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic, mate. I think it's an awesome program. Well done. I love it. Behind the scenes, you able to share anything? Obviously, what we see on television with the games, it's not really what happens. So behind the scenes, you got any info that you can share with us? What happens? What happens in the locker room, for example?
I mean, one thing sticks out in my head that. Like years ago, when it was my first series in '87, myself and Alf made our debuts together, and we were the only two newbies in the team really, and I remember I used to like to warm up a little bit, you know, and get a crack of sweat, and you could do. Everyone did their own warm ups those days, you know what I mean? Like, so we're in the sheds there at the old Lang Park, you know, under the grandstand there, and warming up, and I'm trying to warm up, and I'm looking. Fatty was my roommate, and love him to death. And but he was so good for me. I just off track, but he was so good for me because I used to get a bit too wound up sometimes. You know what I mean? And he was so Mr. Casual, like. And what he is, you know, what you see is what you get with Fatty. It's you know, he's a genius. And but I'd be warming up and running on the spot, you know, doing push-ups and you know, and this and Fatty's looking at me and he says, "You're going to burn yourself out, you know." I'll go, "Listen, mate, I've got a crack of sweat. I can't do it. Can't play like you." And I said, "Well, you can't even touch your toes." And he bent his knees and he said, yeah, his knees were bent when he touched his toes. I can touch my toes. But I still remember we went out a little area and just before everyone's getting called out and everyone was stamping their feet on the old wooden grandstand at the old Lang Park. So the hairs on my arms are standing up now and everyone was going bang, bang, bang in the little room, and I got pushed towards the back, and all these, you know, legends are there, Gene Miles, you know, Wally and Mel and everyone, I'm going, Greg Dowling, and I'm thinking, and Wayne's mouth's going, I can't hear a thing because everyone's stamping on the, it was only from, 5 metres away, 10 metres away, he spoke for like 5 minutes, Wayne Bennett, and I'm thinking, I missed out on something, and I don't know what's going on, so I tapped Fatty on the shoulder, and he's a bit further up, and I tapped Fatty on the shoulder. I said, "Oh mate, what did he say?" He said, "Just go out there and bash the bastards." That's all he got out. Like that's all Fatty. He knew that's all I needed to know. You know what I mean? Like, so for 5 minute speech, that's all Fatty got out of it. So I've kind of that was.
He summarised it.
Yeah, 100% right. He just said I didn't need to know too much more. And just go out there and do your job. And as I said, like he was coaching 95. He did a magnificent job. And we're good mates. But he was the right bloke for the job. In 95 and did a magnificent job along with Choppy and the old late Dick Tosser-Turner.
Yeah, epic. Last question before we get on to the quickfire questions. Legacy. What do you hope to be remembered for? What's that look like for you?
I've thought about actually this. I just want to probably be a bloke who got the most out of himself. I wasn't the most talented bloke, but I got through and played first grade footy. There was a lot more talented blokes than I was. And don't get me wrong, right? I always say this to people in life in general. You need a bit of luck. The right place at the right time. Yep. Doesn't matter what you're doing. I don't care, right? Yep. But you need to be able to grab it and run with it once you get that opportunity, because it might not come back again. 90% of the time won't come back again. And you miss that opportunity, you know what I mean? And you go, oh, shit. There'd be thousands of people sitting at home going,
coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yeah. And I got lucky. I did only because Arthur Beetson gave me an opportunity, but I grabbed it and got a bit lucky.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. Well said. Quick fire questions. You ready?
Yep.
Standout footy memory.
95 have to be. Yeah.
The best coach you ever played under.
Well, I got to say two: Arthur Beetson and Wayne Bennett.
Smartest person you've ever met.
Oh, smartest. Yeah, this is a bit controversial.
In your opinion?
Yeah. My mother.
Strongest teammate. Who could lift the most weights?
Alan Can. Canny, was my second row partner. Yeah.
I think I might know what you're going to say. Who's the funniest guy you've ever played with?
Well, that's two again. Probably Elf and Fatty. Yeah.
Embarrassing on-field moment.
When I was at the Roosters, I lost my shorts, and I mean around my ankles. Yeah.
Proudest memory in your career?
Proudest memory? I've probably got a couple there. My first debut, my debut for Norse, my debut for the Roosters, and obviously a couple of, we're lucky enough to win a couple of grand finals, with the Broncos. Their first ever, they won one, a reserve grade one, I think it was 89, and but to win the first grand final ever, for the Broncos in 92 was pretty special. Yep. Yeah.
Who was the bloke that you least look forward to tackling?
Funny, I didn't mind the big blokes coming at me, but the little blokes, like actually Brad Fittler was very hard to tackle. He had good feet, dancing, and when I played against Elf, I didn't like playing against Elf. He'd duck underneath too much, so I had to give him a clip a few times.
What about the best advice you've ever received?
Probably when I was leaving home to drive down to Sydney, my mum couldn't come out because she was too upset, and I reckon I said any advice to my father. Actually, first up I said, Dad, how do you get to Bondi? First, because he worked all around Australia, and he said, get up, because no GPS in those days. So I'm an XY Falcon driving down going, he said, get over the bridge, son, hook a left. He was right. I found it. I eventually found it. And I said, any other advice? And he said, yeah, treat people how you want to be treated and treat them all the same. But he said, but if someone gives it to you, give it to them tenfold. Yeah.
What great advice. You have a childhood idol growing up?
My dad really was my idol when I was, young boys. I think look at their father a lot of the time, but I was in awe of Arthur Beecham when I met him as well. What he did. Like at 36 years of age, first Origin game, and like just unbelievable. And but I mean, I probably like a lot of people, I suppose. Yeah, I've got other ones as well, but he's probably the main one. Yeah.
Greatest fear?
Greatest fear? I've tried to get through all my fears.
Try and face them.
Yeah. I have, because I wasn't real good with heights, early days, and then I had eight skydives, so I got that out of my system.
Hey, well done.
Yeah. And jumped out of the Care Flight helicopter one day. That was a bit eerie. But like now, fears, probably nothing like animals or anything like that doesn't worry me. Probably early days was not fulfilling my potential, really. And that was a thing, and I'm happy with that now. But I don't know. That's it.
Well, let's park it.
Yeah.
What about a pre-game ritual?
Oh, yeah, like the little stretch and things like that. But I've seen some. I wasn't one of them blokes who had to put the left boot on first, right boot, and stuff like that. I didn't have to do all that.
No lucky jocks.
No. I used to wear my Speedos. I was in the surf club for years at Caloundra and really enjoyed that. That was I used to put the old Dick Togs on, from the surf club. I used to wear them. We were boaties actually, and a few of us, and we used to wear the old Dick Togs. But I've seen quite a few blokes, and Alf's one of them. He used to spew his heart up, every day, or every game, I should say. It used to be funny, and I got used to it, after a while. But when you first see him, and I go, holy moly, I'd have to walk away, yeah. But he used to be terribly sick in big games.
What's the one thing you miss most about not playing now?
No, I know this one, the camaraderie, the mateship, the putting a bit of shit on each other and having a bit of fun. Sitting in their dressing sheds after a game. And I say this to people all the time. Doesn't matter whether you play NRL, you play for Queensland, or you play for Australia, or you play park football, park netball. Doesn't matter what level it's at. That's what you miss. When we all miss that camaraderie and that having a go on each other the Australian way.
The banter.
Yeah, exactly, 100% right. Yeah. Doesn't matter whether it's third grade, park football or playing for Australia. That's what you miss when you're not playing anymore.
Who do you think the best player you've ever shared the field with? You played with?
I was blessed to play with so many good players, but I got to go Wally. Yeah, he was a freak. Yeah,
he absolutely was. What's your worst vice?
Vice, probably. Probably drink too much soft drink. Yeah.
If you could play a round of golf anywhere in the world, who would you play with and where?
At his peak, it would have been Tiger Woods, so he could carry me. And I'd love to play at Augusta. I think that'd be magnificent to have a round there. And I've got a couple of mates who bloody rub it into me all the time. I've been there and knew some people and got on for a couple of holes. They didn't, and they played there. So I thought, that'd be magnificent.
What's the hardest and toughest thing that you've ever done?
The hardest and toughest thing, mentally, I think that walk I did was pretty.
That sounds brutal.
Yeah, and I think because it was the same process every day. So you get up, you walk 50k, and it was in October. It wasn't real cool. It was hot, and
because it has a cumulative effect.
Oh yeah, and it catches up with you. Yeah, because we had a few people come with us, and a couple of them didn't last a couple of days. You know what I mean? Like they did a couple of days, and I said, just sit in the car, mate. Today, yeah, it's all right. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. And but I couldn't do that. So but the one thing sticks in my head. We're outside of Mackay, and a fella pulled up with his dad, right? And his dad was full of asbestos. He's on oxygen, and then we had containers and that, and his father put the $50 in the container, and I said, no, mate, you don't. He said, no, let Dad do that. He couldn't even talk, his dad, So I said, and then I remember it was a tough day. It was hot, and I'm going, do I really want to be here? And then when he did that, I went, yeah, I'm not going too bad.
Yeah. How much money did you
reality,
raise? How much money did you raise?
I think it was about 120,000 or something, 130. But down the track, the girls told me at the office there was so many people that put more money in, and when their father or their mother passed away with it, they've put some money back into the society, which is really good. So,
Favourite childhood memory?
Oh, that's a tough one, because all over the place we were. This isn't like it's at school, and it's probably not real good memory, but it sticks in my head like it happened yesterday. We're mucking around on the wet concrete when I was about grade 5. We're sliding around, and I slipped and spun around and smashed my teeth right through my mouth, through right the top of my gums and everything like that. So mum, poor mum and dad didn't have a real lot of money, and it would have cost them a fortune to get my get my teeth fixed. And I had to get my teeth all, because they were right up under my nose, and they had to cut them out, and that kind of sticks in my head a little bit. Yeah.
Ouch. What's the best advice that you could give an aspiring young sportsman?
Work ethic. And I said the same thing to my 2 daughters when they finished uni. They've both gone on to do great things. One's a physio, the other one's a speech pathologist, and I need to get some DNA, I think I said to you, and they're too smart. But I think I said the number one thing you can have in life is a good work ethic. You can learn everything else, and everyone learns differently. It doesn't mean you're dumb if you don't understand stuff. I mean, you can learn it a different way. And I think that's the beauty about learning. Sometimes people don't understand that, but but the work ethic, don't let anyone outwork you. You know what I mean? So and both my girls have done that really well.
What about the best advice you'd give a bloke your age?
Just keep getting out there and try and exercise, do something every day if you can. Keep moving, and enjoy life. Get around with your mates. As well. And I know quite a few older blokes than me during COVID. A lot of them struggled because they used to go down every Friday, and they'd go down and catch up for lunch and and things like that. And a couple of them are passed on since then. But and I think that's the beauty about it being Australian as well. We like to catch up and put a bit of shit on your mate and have a bit of a giggle, laugh and a giggle, and I think that's the great way to be.
Absolutely. Last question 26. Finish this sentence. I believe
anything's possible.
Yeah, mate, well said. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honour to have you on the show, Gilly, and much appreciate your time and how busy you are, and wish you all the best for the future, mate. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Cheers. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, we have a small favour to ask. Please take a moment to subscribe, review, and share this podcast with someone you think will appreciate it. Your support helps us reach more listeners, and we can continue delivering content that educates, inspires, and empowers you. Don't forget to follow us on social media to stay in the loop with all our latest news. 2024 is going to be a huge year. and we'll continue running our weekly Friday morning kayaking sessions on the beautiful Brisbane River, along with plenty more thrilling adventures, exciting activities and challenges are planned. We'd love for you to join us and be part of our growing community. Remember, success is all about consistency. And by investing 26 minutes exercising both your mind and your body every day, you too can become the strongest, fittest and healthiest version of you. So stay tuned and stay active.